Hello and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name is Chuck Wooden. I'll be the host. I'm joined by my co-host, Donna Dunyan. Donna?
Hi, good evening, everyone. We have another very informative show for you this evening. We have with us tonight Commissioner Tom Saadi. Thomas Saadi is the Commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Veterans Affairs and has been serving since February 2018. Prior to serving as the Commissioner, he served as Chief of Staff and General Counsel for the department. He has held multiple other civic and state positions prior to joining the Department of Veterans Affairs, including Danbury City Council and an Assistant State Attorney General. Commissioner Saadi is also a Lieutenant Colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve, which is how I met him years ago, and was commissioned as a judge advocate in November of 2005. He is active in numerous veteran, civic, and social organizations and is the recipient of many awards and recognitions for his public service. Commissioner Saadi was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and is a first-generation Lebanese American, making him the first Arab American Commissioner of Veterans Affairs and the only currently serving Arab American State Agency Commissioner in Connecticut. And I know you're very proud of your heritage, so I wanted to make sure to include that. He has resided in Connecticut with his family since 1985. Commissioner Saadi is here tonight to talk to us about something very important for all veterans and service members in the state of Connecticut, and that is Stand Down 2022. Commissioner, welcome, and it's great to finally have you on the show.
Donna, thank you so much for having me here, and Chuck, thank you as well. Pleasure to be here tonight.
It's an honor, Commissioner. You know, one thing we do with our veterans, and we want to make sure we open up the show by doing this, is to thank you. Thank you for your service. So on behalf of the viewers, the folks here at the Veterans Corner, we want to thank you for your service.
Oh, and thank you for yours as well. Not only your service in uniform, but continued service afterwards to our veterans.
Yeah, and you know what, and everything you do, I mean, for the veterans here in the state. But you know, the stand down, I can't believe it's already that time. It seemed like September was just, you know, last week. And I mean, we're here again.
Yeah.
Commissioner, can you give us a history behind Stand Down? How it started, how many usually attend? You know, just a brief history of...
You know, our Connecticut Stand Down Department of Veterans Affairs goes back about 3 decades. And while it's been at Rocky Hill, generally sometimes at regional locations, but mostly focused at our Rocky Hill campus. Stand down, the concept is, and you know from your service, is after a military action or mission, you stand down to rest and refit. Yes. And that's where this comes from. So the public understands why we use the term stand down. And it's not just veteran stand down. It's for veterans, active duty, guard, and reserve personnel. So we cover all of them. They are eligible to attend. And we traditionally had about 1,000 veterans coming to Stand Down, but now with regional locations, we're hoping to increase that number, particularly now coming out of COVID.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned all the different branches and stuff, you know, Guard and all that. There was a time, way before our time, where, you know, the Guard were never really involved. The old weekend warrior, you know, stigma and all that was attached. Now they hold primary roles here.
Well, you're absolutely right. You know, over the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, at any one time, nearly 40% of our troops overseas were Guard and Reserve. Yeah. That is unprecedented, going back to World War II. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. The Guard and Reserve is no longer this stereotypical weekend warrior. They are an operational force, not only overseas, but also domestically.
And it's nice that they're getting the recognition, as they should, obviously.
Absolutely.
You know,
So,
Donna.
Commissioner, how has COVID affected how the DVA runs Stand Down?
You know, it really changed the way we do it, and it changed it in a positive way. When you talk about looking for a silver lining in things, a few years ago when COVID hit, I insisted with my team that we still do stand down. People said, you can't do this. You can't bring so many hundreds of people together. What we did is we regionalized. We went to locations across the state and limited the amount of people that could attend at each location to 150 people. Well, as we got out of COVID, we kept that regional approach. And now we have hundreds of people that go to these regional sites. And that is so important because we want to reach out across the state. So we're in 5 locations this year across the state of Connecticut, including in this area, in the Farmington Valley region. And that is at the Bristol Sports Armory, correct, on Center Street?
Yes, that is
and
correct.
Across the state of Connecticut. So COVID gave us a way of doing it differently that now is a better way to do it.
Good. And we'll have, I mean, you mentioned Bristol. What are some of the other locations? And we're going to share all this information on our Facebook page as well.
Well, 5 locations at our main campus in Rocky Hill on West Street, at the Veterans Rally Point in Norwich, in Danbury at the Danbury War Memorial, at the University of Bridgeport in Bridgeport, and then, as I said, right here in this area at the Bristol Sports Armory.
Which used to be the old Bristol Armory.
Yes. It's
Very familiar to a lot of our National Guard
Yeah.
personnel over the years.
Yeah, it's for anyone in the Bristol area, it's the old National Guard Armory on Center Street in Bristol. Has been completely revamped, at least the drill floor has, so that is where we're hosting it in Bristol. And is it open to the public, like family members, or are you just looking for veterans and service members?
So it's all veterans and service members, as I said, Guard, Reserve, and active duty. But caregivers, family members can, of course, go with their service member or their veteran, particularly if they are a primary caregiver. What we would ask is that they don't take some of the items that we're giving away to veterans. There's clothing, there's other items, people would call them swag bags or support packages. That's for the veteran. But, of course, family members can get information about programs, services, and benefits so that they can assist their veteran in connecting with those supportive services.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about all these, well, the 5, actually, what was it, Rocky Hill, Rally Point, down in Norwich. We've had them a number of times on the show. People don't realize the Easter SEALs, what they do.
Great supporters of our veterans.
Bristol, and what was the 5th one?
In Danbury at the Danbury War Memorial,
it.
and then also in Bridgeport at University of Bridgeport.
I want to make sure I put these on the Facebook page earlier, so so we got it. What type of services can they expect to find at various locations?
You know, a whole array of services: housing, education, job and workforce development, healthcare services, legal services, the DMV, the Department of Labor, community-based organizations and charitable nonprofits will be there, opportunities for loans for homes, connecting with temporary financial aid if that's needed. The DMV will help to restore veterans who go there, and DMV will be at each one of the locations to restore licenses or if a registration was late. There is one location only for the judicial branch. We will have court services for minor things, mostly motor vehicle issues, that will be at Rocky Hill.
Okay. I was going to guess Bridgeport. But Rocky Hill.
Rocky Hill. If we can, we might be able to expand it, but right now it'll mainly, court support services will be in Rocky Hill.
That's the main campus.
Yes.
I mean, it's now where on the grounds did you have? I unfortunately have not been able to attend any of them. So yeah, I know I got to change that.
Come to Bristol this year.
Exactly.
This year, September 23rd.
Remind me. Let's do it. I'll go with you. I've been on the grounds up in Rocky Hill so many times, up at the hospital doing bingo with the veterans.
Absolutely.
Involved with the American Legion.
Yes.
Now, where did they normally have it up there?
So we used to have it in the quad in between our residential facility when it was only in Rocky Hill. But now we've moved it to the administrative area parking lot. There's plenty of parking. It is rain or shine because we also have indoor facilities, restored historic auditorium, as well as tents. And all the other locations are also mostly indoors. So this is a rain or shine event. Again, plenty of parking, public transportation to many of the locations, as well as shuttle service. And all that is on our website as well, with the services and programs that are at each location and how that's broken out, so people can see that right on our state DVA website.
The commissioner had mentioned about the website. I'm sure that's going to be flashing up. If not, we will definitely put that out at the end of the show. Are there specific services that will be available only to certain locations? Actually, you already covered that with the judicial branch.
Yes, but there are some others. What we're doing is we're trying to have same or similar services at all the locations, but there are some limitations.
Yeah.
So some of the health screening might be concentrated in 1 or 2 locations. Yeah. Some of the vaccines, depending if we have COVID vaccines and flu shots. So that's still a work in progress, but what we really do is encourage people to look at the different locations on our website, and that will tell them exactly what will be at each location. And what I mentioned is just a snippet of all the support services and programs that are there, and especially veterans really need to think about, with the PAC Act that just passed and the new presumptive conditions for burn pits, for Agent Orange, to access veteran service officers. The DVA will have our veteran service officers and members of the regional vet centers will be at each of these locations to help veterans navigate and understand how to file for either an increase in their service-connected disability or their initial filing, and that is incredibly important.
Yeah. It is, because I mean, at one time I was heavily involved with the American Legion. And all the way up to the district commander, for Harford County. But I know that the service officers, I mean, they were pretty busy.
Yeah.
Not just at most of them were, or actually some of them were over in Newington. That's where I would stop in every now and then. But even at the local, if the posts of the VSOs, Veteran Service Organizations, may it be the VFW, the Legion, the DAV, and some of actually those are the 3 main ones. I know that some of them have some very competent service officers. It's hard to fill those spots at all the posts, but I know they're always busy, so there's always a demand.
There's never a shortage of work for the service officers at all.
Now, you said there was more that we've mentioned so far. We've got plenty of time. Is there anything else that's provided at these stand-downs?
Yeah, well, I'm just going to do a little cheating here.
Yeah,
look at my
fine.
phone with the list. For example, here in Bristol.
As you can see, I do that all the time.
We're going to have the American Legion here. Bristol EMS will be doing medical information and health screenings. CHRO will be here to give people information about reasonable accommodations, Americans with Disability Act, discrimination cases, things like that. The Bar Association, Department of Labor, the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority. There is a broad new law that really, people don't think about this, can assist veterans and their family members and caregivers for veterans with paid family leave to prepare for mobilizations and deployments, as well as to care for veterans. And that's at the state level. Yeah. So that's very important. Recovery services, those who are struggling, whether it's with PTSD, drug or alcohol addiction or gambling addiction, there will be services, supportive services like that at all of our locations around the state. Absolutely. And the key thing here is veterans may feel a little frustrated at times. In the past, they were denied a program or a service, or they were told they weren't eligible. Eligibility changes, as we know, and so if a veteran, I say this, if a veteran was denied something in the past, you may be eligible now. Don't shy away. Don't be embarrassed. Ask for that assistance, or just come to one of our locations and see what's out there. That's incredibly important.
And a lot of it, it's been a long day. The word I'm trying to think of, confidential. It's when you do call, and we've covered that on the show a lot, especially when it comes to PTSD, mental health. It's between you and the person on the other side of the phone. It's confidential, because obviously we know that a lot of veterans they're hesitant because they don't want their private situations out in the public.
That fear of the stigma, the scarlet letter.
Exactly.
And I tell this to people all the time, and Donna, we've had this discussion, trying to say veterans who are suffering from post-traumatic stress or those invisible illnesses or ailments should not be embarrassed, and it shouldn't be considered that they're broken. Yeah. They've gone through a difficult time.
Exactly.
And it happens to civilians when they're in severe car accidents or the victim of a crime, and people really need to understand that this person's not broken. They just need maybe a little assistance to get to that next better level in their life and to stabilize the situation.
And how many times have we mentioned that on the show? it's very important to get that as soon as possible.
Yes.
Because the longer you wait, the longer it just cements into you.
Yeah, and I think even for Bristol, we have some mental health providers will be there providing screenings. I know Wheeler Clinic is scheduled to be there. I think we have the VA suicide prevention team, and it happens to be
Yes.
Suicide Prevention Month. So it's very important for everyone just to come out and look and see what services we have available. And these are services right within the state. And just about the regionalization, what I like about it is we're bringing in veterans in that area and we're showing them what services are right there. Instead of always coming to Rocky Hill and you're finding a service that's up in Hartford, but you live down in Plymouth or Thomaston, or vice versa. It's really showing them what's right in their own backyard too, as far as some of these services that we're pulling in.
Absolutely, Don, you hit the nail on the head, is bringing this information, these services, these providers to our veterans.
Yes.
I often say this, there's not a lack generally of programs and services and benefits for our veterans. What often happens is there's a lack of connectivity. They don't know where to go.
Exactly.
Or they don't think they're eligible. Yeah. Stand Down is an amazing sort of one-day, one-stop shopping to get that broad amount of information as to what a veteran and their dependents, family members may be eligible as well for certain support services, whether at the state or federal level.
Now, we're absolutely honored to have you here, and hopefully you'll be back again.
I hope so.
For updates. This show was designed back in 2013 to help all that. Any organization, foundation, individual does anything, any service, provides any service for veterans or the veteran community, we have them on here to give them exposure. And that's strictly what the show is all about.
That's great, Chuck. Absolutely. Hear about it around this area and from other veterans about your show, and really getting that information out is so important, because that's what I hear from people. I didn't know, or I didn't know I was eligible, or I didn't think I should do it. If I do that, I might take away benefits from somebody else. That never happens. No. A veteran or an eligible dependent or service member applying for the veterans does not take any money or health care away from another veteran. Very important for them.
There's so much out there for our veteran community, not just the veterans, but I mean, in many cases, the families. The whole veteran community needs assistance. So,
now, we can tell from how you've been speaking about it that Stand Down is very important to you. And I know this goes off our script a little bit, but is there one particular scenario or situation that really touched you with Stand Down over the years? Because you've been hosting them since 2018.
Yes, actually. As you're asking that question, this image flashes into my mind. Two veterans who are from the same town, both Vietnam vets. Each one of them had a service cap on. One of them had his CIB on it, and another one a T-shirt of, I guess, his old unit. They had lived in the same town but didn't know each other. They had served in Vietnam around the same time. Oh, wow. They were at one of the Vet Center booths at one of our Stand Down, and they started talking and sharing their story with each other. And then they opened up to each other, and I knew both of them, but they didn't know the connection.
Oh, wow.
And both of them engaged with so many of the services that day. Yeah. And they then, just had this great conversation. And I see that. I see veterans connecting. Yeah. And even if it's not to apply for benefits or programs or services, just connecting with other veterans. Who's at Stand Down, whether they're providers or veterans who are attending, the service organizations that are there, the discussion groups. We have equine therapy that are going to be there. People don't think about these things.
We have that on the show often.
They're going to be
Healing Hoofbeats and somebody else.
Yeah.
I think they're one of the providers that will be here in Bristol.
They're going to be in Bristol. Irreverent Warriors are going to be in Bristol. So Eric.
Yeah, Eric.
Will be there.
I'm going to stop down and see Renee. They were regulars on this show in the past, and actually they're due to come back. We try to get a lot of mental health shows on here because that's obviously important. All the subjects are important, but a lot of our veterans need mental health assistance.
COVID obviously didn't help.
No.
It pulled so many veterans out of their normal circles, their discussion groups, going down to the Veterans Hall, getting together, coffee houses. Those things are coming back, but it is incredibly important, Chuck, as you said, providing those supportive services and communicating what's available out there and encouraging our veterans and service members to go back out, to reconnect.
When they reconnect, I've seen it, you just described it, and I'm sure you've seen it more than I have, is when two veterans start coming together and talking, it brings them out of the shadows.
Yeah.
Some of the areas, I mean, dark areas, I mean, it helps them. It's important. This is a team effort.
Yes.
It's a team effort to get help for all of our veterans.
Well, and absolutely, you talk about team. Looking at Donna and her regional organization, the Veteran Strong Community Center, or Bristol Strong, sorry.
No, you did it right.
Yeah, Veteran Strong Community Center. It is about team. Government can't do it alone, and the state can't do it alone. The federal government can't do it alone. It's a team coming together, community-based providers, veteran organizations, volunteers, working with state agencies, working with nonprofits as a whole team approach, just like the military is a whole team approach. Those supporting our veterans and service members need to be a whole team approach.
We started making a spreadsheet of some sort. I've been wanting to do it for years. Donna has helped me with that. And all of our guests that we have on here, whatever category or whatever areas that they cover, we're trying to get that out there through Facebook and any way that we can.
Yeah, we keep a spreadsheet document so people can go back and reference it and always have access to whoever the guests were. So your information will go up there. I'll put the State of Connecticut website and the general email for you.
And Donna is an administrator, just like myself with the Facebook page. And so whatever you have, it goes on there. That reaches, actually this show is seen almost from coast to coast, believe it or not. It goes on YouTube after it's shown in this area. I've had comments. I'm a friend on Facebook now with an attorney down on the Gulf Coast. He's always in Washington, D.C. I've heard of people watching this show on YouTube out on the West Coast. So this is actually, it's far reaching. It's not
wonderful.
just here in the Farmington Valley where Nutmeg is. They just flashed the phone number on there. Now, as far, we'll get to that in a second, but for more information on that day, I guess it would be the phone number and the website, right?
Phone number and the website. So if people do want more information, they can go to the Connecticut Department of Veterans Affairs website. Just Google CTDVA, or it is www.ct.gov/DVA. And right at the top, there's this yellow banner. Click on that for stand down, and that'll bring you right to information about transportation, all the locations, the addresses, as well as the services broken out by each location. And there's no pre-registration required. Just when the veteran, service member, Guard or Reserve show up there, we ask them to fill out a form so that we can keep track and then also send follow-on information to them.
That's great. That's great. I mean,
We should make reference, I don't know if we talked about the exact date. It's Friday, September 23rd from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. at 5 locations across the state.
okay, we've got less than a minute. It goes by fast.
Yes, it does.
Commissioner, it's an absolute honor to have you here.
Honor's mine. Thank you so much.
It'd be nice if maybe every rotation. I'm sure there's always updates.
Oh, there's always stuff he can come in and talk about.
I mean, it's,
Absolutely. I'd love to come back.
So with that being said, anything, Donna?
No, that's it. I'm glad you were able to join us, and I've known you. Well, I started the Army Reserve program in 2012, so I've probably known you for about that long.
About 10 years.
Because I met you over at the Civil Affairs Battalion in Danbury. Long time.
One quick thing before we close out is I want to thank a little shout out for the VFW post in Hartford, post 254. They made a nice sizable contribution to this show for our mugs. So we're going to put them down as a sponsor, and we really want to thank the VFW in Hartford, Post 254, for their help for this show. So with that being said, once again, thank you. Hope to see you again. Wrap it up. With that being said, I want to thank the viewers for watching. Good night. See you next time. This is the Veterans Corner. Good night.
Welcome, I'm Nick Augustino. I'd like to welcome you to the Clam Box, where we do seafood our way. We got lobster roll, fried clams, fish and chip, fried shrimp, and our famous onion rings. We put a lot of precaution into the safety for you and your family. Not only do we use plexiglass at the cash register and sanitizer, we all wear gloves and we all keep a 6-foot distancing, and everybody must wear a mask. We carry all the options. We got DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, and of course, we got curbside where we bring it right to your car. Online ordering is available at clamboxnewbritain.com or by calling us at 860-357-3118. The Clam Box, 586 West Main Street, New Britain.